In this video, I'm gonna show you how to create an email template creator inside your Bubble app, including dynamic drag and drop values that you can just put inside the body of your email to send multiple emails and personalize them based on the user's details. Now I'll show you how it works. So let's say we have a body and we want to say in the email, hey, first name. So we just take this group, we can drag and drop it and drop it inside the body. And as you see, it creates my dynamic value that later on will be the one who will be responsible in personalizing the values to each user. So if we continue, we can just make something like that. Order number, you see it's draggable and droppable. So product, we can drop it like that, and then we can save the template. Now I have already a template saved, something that looks a little bit more professional, and we're gonna build this functionality of the template creator. We're gonna save the template and then we will send the emails. Currently in the database I have 4 orders. 2 of them are from Nike and 2 of them are from Apple. So when I press send emails button, it should trigger an email sequence, or rather not sequence, but sending multiple emails at once for all the orders that I have in the database. So we should see in my email inbox that your order is ready, first name, each order has an other user's first name. We'll see a different company, Nike and Apple. We'll see different product names and order numbers. So let's see it in a mailbox. So here are the orders that I've sent. Hi Sean, thank you for ordering with Nike. Cool shoes, that's the product name. Order number is 212. Cheers, the Nike team. So we see that it personalized it based on the order details. And if we go to another order, also from Nike, we can see it's for Dan for a cool shirt and another order number. And I send the same template, but with different order numbers. So here it's from Apple for Jeff about his iPhone 16, and for John from Apple about his AirPods. So you can see it's all personalized based on the order details. By the way, I'm Sean Zimkov, a full-time Bubble developer, traveling the world and making this type of content to teach others how to use Bubble and maybe land your first client or start your own startup. So without further ado, let's start with the build. So I have here a newly created page. I just changed the layout to be a column, because when we create a new page, the container layout is fixed. So here I want to change it to column and the container alignment to be centered. Okay, that's it for the page settings. I'll also want to change the background color to be not white, but something more gray, like F9, F9, F9 will give me this grayish color. And now we can start creating the functionality. So the first step will be to create the UI that we've seen in the preview. So that's the email template inputs and also the dynamic values sidebar on the right. So I will start by taking a group and putting it in the middle. I'll call this group email template creator. Now I'll change some configurations of this group in the layout. I'll make the max width 800 pixels and I will horizontally align it to the center. And another thing that I want to do here is to apply a gap space between the elements. Actually, I don't want it to be a column. I want it to be a row because we have 2 groups right side by side. And then I will apply 30 gap space between the columns so they always be separated by 30 pixels at least. I will take another group and put it inside this group. This group will be called template inputs. Before I create the second group, I will change this group's configuration and then we can just duplicate the first group. So here I would want it to be first of all 16 padding from all sides. So everything is nice and pretty inside. I will apply a space between the column elements of 16 pixels. So every element we stuck in the column will be separated in 16 pixels. For the appearance, I will make the background color as flat color white. The roundness should be 10 and the all borders style should be solid with the gray 30 color palette that is built in from Bubble's color palette. Now that we have this group ready in terms of its styling, I will put a text inside. I'll make this text bold and I will write email template. Now let me just copy and paste it. You see, just duplicated it. And we have two groups side by side with a 30 pixels gap between them. Now for the email template, I will call it dynamic values. This is our sidebar. Let's continue with the first group before we continue on finishing the second group. So in the first group, I want to add another text, and below this text, I will add another input. I will take both of them by clicking on the first one, pressing on Shift, and then clicking on the second one. That will allow me to right-click on one of the elements and group them here in the group elements in column container. In the column container, I have this layout. I want to apply a little space between the elements of 4 pixels. The text itself should say subject. We can also bold it. For the input, I would like to change the appearance. The roundness should be 5. The width should be 1. Of the borders, I see that it all fits to our style. In the layout, I would change the height to be fixed 40 pixels. And the width, I will untick this fixed width checkbox so it can stretch however it likes throughout the whole group. I'll just change the name of this input to be input subject. So currently we're just creating the UI that we will later connect with the functionality and use. So now I can just copy this subject group and paste it. So I have a body group. And I will delete this input and I'll find the multi-line input and put it right below. In the layout of the multi-line input, I will also untick the fixed width so it can stretch throughout the whole group. I will set the minimum height as 200 so we have a little bit of space to write in. And in the appearance, I'll also set the roundness to 5 so we have everything the same style and consistency. And for the width of the borders, I will set this as 1. I like how it looks. I'll just change the name of the multi-line input to be multi-line input email body. I'll add a button beneath all of that will say save template. I'll go to the layout and just untick this fit with to content so it stretches, and that's it for this group. Now it's ready. For this group, I want to add a shape. Okay, I want to add a little divider that will make the UI more professional. So I added a shape. I just changed the height to be 1 pixel as fixed height, and I also untick the fixed width checkbox so it stretches. Now we have a cool looking divider before we start the next section of this group. Now this group also, you see it shrinks to the minimum height it can be. But what I want to match the other group, the left group, in terms of height. So I can do that by going to the settings vertical alignment. This option is called vertical stretch. So it will stretch based on the highest element inside the same group. Okay, it's when the parent container of this element is a row. So you can use this in order to stretch it to the maximum height of the other elements that may live in the same row. So now it will work like this, exactly like I want to. And another thing that I want to do in this group is just to set the max width to 250, so we have a little bit more space for the left group. So we've almost finished with the UI. We just need a repeating group that will showcase all the dynamic values that we have. But first of all, we need to create an option set for those dynamic values. So let's now create the data and option sets that we need in order for this functionality to work. So for the data types, we need only one data type. And when I create data types, option sets, fields, and those kind of stuff, I got into a habit of make it organized with the emoji, because when you have a client project that's very big and it has a bunch of data types, fields, and option sets, it's very useful to stay organized when you use emojis. So you can just open a new tab, write email emoji, copy that, and then add here this email emoji. And I will call this data type email template. This is what we're gonna save when we click the Save Template button. So we're gonna create an email template with the subject type text. And we're gonna save the body of the email also as type text. That's it. We don't need anything more in this data type. What we need more is some option sets. The first option set, I will paste the same email emoji. It will be email dynamic values. So for the dynamic values, I need a first name, an order number, company name, and product name. So now we have the 4 dynamic values that we're going to use in this video. We can of course make more, but that's enough for the example. Now I will make another one associated with the email emoji, and that option set will be order, dummy order. Let's call it dummy order, so we know basically what I'm gonna do with this option set is to act like a database with actual orders, users, and products populated inside it, instead of creating a data type for all of it and managing the relationships. But by all means, this is only for dummy data. If you are building it in a real app and integrating it to database structure, you should do it with the data types, keep track of the relationships. The order should hold a relationship with the user to get his email. The order should get a relationship with the product to get a product name. Maybe it's a list of products, and so on. So now I'm just doing it in the option sets to demonstrate how we build this functionality. So let's call this Nike order 1, Nike order 2, Apple order 1, Apple order 2. That way I can know what I need to do. For the attributes, I will need to give the user first name as text. I will need a company name as text. I'll need a product name as text. As you see, it's just like our dynamic values, so we can actually personalize it based on this data. So company, product, order number as number or text, doesn't really matter. And we also need a user email to send to, right? So now I will populate it manually. So Nike order 1, the company would be Nike, the order number will be 123, product name will be cool shoes, email user will be my tutorial email, so we can see it actually go into my inbox, and the name will be Dan. For Nike order 2, the same company, Nike order number 321, product will be cool shirt, user email the same. Actually, I will already copy it, and the user will be John. For the Apple order, the company name would be Apple, the order number will be 212, product name will be AirPods, user email, and the first name will be Jenny. And for the last order that we have, so it's Apple order 2, the company name will be Apple, the order number will be 313, product name will be iPhone 16, username, the same email. I put the same email in everyone, so we actually see it come to my inbox. User first name, the user first name, Jeff. Now that we have our dummy orders in place, the email dynamic values, and the data type, we've done with the database. Let's just finish the UI before we continue on actually making the whole functionality work. So I need to add here a repeating group below this divider. Now, every time that I add a repeating group, there are some default settings that I like to do. So in this case, when it's a repeating group that I only need one column, I first of all untick this number of rows, fixed number of rows, and I set this minimum height of row to be 32, because if we have a group like now, we're gonna have a group of 40 pixel-ish that it should have, and because the minimum height of every row is 56, it just makes an awkward space between them. I like to just make this separator style none, and that's it. For here, I need to set the type of content to be the email dynamic values. Okay, these are dynamic values that we're gonna drop in the email body. I will take all the email dynamic values option set options. The layout, I will untick the fit width to content so it stretches, and I will make the minimum height as 0 so it just collapses cleanly. That's it for this repeating group. Now, before I add something inside a repeating group, as we all know, traditionally we create a repeating group, we put a group inside it, but this time we need something else. We need a drag and drop group. So how do we get this drag and drop element? We need to go inside the plugins tab and add 2 plugins for the whole functionality. First of all, for the drag and drop group that we need right now in the repeating group, we'll use Draggable Elements by Bubble. Very good plugin for this kind of situation, and we'll see it all in action. You're gonna see how it works. The toolbox is a legendary plugin. It allows you to just inject JavaScript code into your workflow actions, so it's very powerful. And if you don't know how to use JavaScript, don't worry about it. We're gonna use very simple and basic JavaScript, and I'm gonna also walk through the code and help you understand what's happening there, but it's free, 2 lines, nothing more. So now that we've installed those plugins, we can go back to the design tab and find a drag and drop group, okay, and put it inside a repeating group. Now this drag and drop group has some different configurations that we need to do. So let's currently ignore the ones that we're not gonna use and focus on the ones that we do. Here you have make this element droppable. Okay, so make this element droppable means that you actually can drop it somewhere. And we will need it because we need to set this body as a droppable area so the element can be dropped there and actually transfer the text that we need. So if we take the first name, it should give us the first name when we drop it. So I will tick that as a yes. And the behavior post drop, it asks us if we want to hide the group from the repeating group or move it back. In our case, I would like to move it back because we can use the dynamic values multiple times. I can put the product name in multiple times in the body. So if it hides after the first time, it's not good for us. So the type of content here will be a text, and the text will be coming from the current cell email dynamic values. You remember our option set with the dynamic values and its display. So it will show us first name, order number, product name, company name. Now for this group, I would want to change some design for it. So let's make the roundness 5 and the borders style solid with the gray 30 from the color palette. And now I think it's done. I just want to make the container alignment in this column centered for the text to be in the middle. And let's add the text. So now when it's in the middle, let me just horizontally align it to the center as well. So it's perfectly in the middle. And the text should be saying the dynamic data from the parent group text. So it will just take from the parent group the text that we have from the option set. So first name, company name, all of those. Now I think we've done with this part. So now the drag will work, but the drop will not work yet. Let's see it in action and then continue. So just to recap, we basically build the UI that we need to use in order to create this template creator, and we install 2 plugins to help us implement the functionality. Now I see here an issue. It's not really an issue, but I don't like it when it touches one another. So what I like to do here is to go to the group and set the layout margin 8 from the bottom, and that way it knows to push the next element with 8 pixels. That's great. So now you can see we can actually drag this drag and drop group. So we can drag it and it will snap back to the place it was. And now we need somehow to drag it here, and it should copy the text inside the curly brackets like we've seen in the preview. And that is done by injecting some JavaScript. I will show you what it means. But for now, we need to do another thing with the Draggable Elements plugin, and it's to find the drop area element. So the drop area element basically allows us to declare a place that we can actually drop these drag and drop groups and get the value that those drag and drop groups hold. So we actually need to take the text first name in order to append it in the body of the email. Now, what I don't like here is the color. So let's make it none, make the borders style none. And we also need to take this multi-line input and put it inside the drop area. Now that it's inside the drop area, we can safely drop a drag and drop group and expect the text to be taken from the drag and drop group. And now, because we set the type of thing to text, we can actually use it in the current workflows text. We will see it right now. But what the action that we actually need to run is run JavaScript, the action that we have by using the Toolbox plugin. So if you don't have this action, you need to install the Toolbox plugin. Now let's run some JavaScript. This is the JavaScript that we need in order to make this functionality work. So let me explain everything here, so don't be intimidated. So in JavaScript, if you're not familiar, this is how we declare a variable. Okay, so we declare here a variable called editor, and we make it equal to the document query selector and this ID. Okay, so what does it mean? This function basically takes the elements in the page and finds the element with the ID that matches the argument that we pass here. The argument is this part. Okay, so we wanted to find the element with the ID, rich text editor selector. Okay, let me copy that because we need to give that ID to one of our elements, the multi-line input. And the other variable, so we understand what the editor is here. It just finds the element. Okay, that's how JavaScript basically finds the element multi-line input. Now the second variable that is declared here is the placeholder. Now the placeholder is the text that we actually drop on the drop area. So instead of using this static text, we insert a dynamic data and we use the current workflow text. So you remember that we specified that the type of thing is text. So it's actually when we drag the group and drop it on the drop area, the drop area can find the text that hides inside or populates the drag and drop group, and then we can take this text and use it here in the workflow. So if we took the first name value and dropped it now on the multi-line input, it will change this dynamic expression to be first name. I hope that's clear. Those are the two variables that we're gonna need, the element and the text that we need to put inside the element. And now we have an if statement. An if statement is just like only when rule inside Bubble, and it says only when editor is existing. Okay, when we just put one variable in JavaScript, this is how we set the condition. And basically this condition means if editor is found, if it exists. If not, then we will go to else. For now, if the editor does exist and we did find the element with this kind of ID, it will take the editor element and focus on it. Okay, so that's basically doing this, focus. And it will make another action, document exec command. You don't need to understand that. It insert the text. So we can see it, insert text action. It will insert the text. Now let me just remove here a space that I didn't like previously, and it insert which text it will insert inside the input, because the editor is an input. So this action is inserting text inside an input. It will insert double curly brackets, starting curly brackets, then the placeholder, the text, first name, company name, what group we actually chose to drop there, and another closing curly brackets. I'll also remove this space from here. Now you can just copy it. It's not hard even if you do it, but I'll also put it in the description. And we have here, those are the two actions that actually make everything work, and the two variables up top. This is just a console log that we can basically delete. It just helps us keep track of where the code is in its execution when it runs. So if we have a problem, we can refer to the log where it's in the code. And the console error, the same. If we have an error that the editor is not found, right? Because else it means if not. So if the editor found, make these actions. If the editor isn't found, make it an error, editor not found. So that's basically, we can also delete that, by the way, but let's leave it like that. That's basically the whole functionality that we need in order to now inject the text inside the multi-line input. The last thing that we actually need to do is to take this rich text editor selector and assign the ID attribute of the multi-line input to be that. What it means, you'll see right now. So in the settings tab, you can go to the general settings right here, and you go way down. In the down section, you have this expose the option to add an ID attribute to HTML elements. That means we can add an ID attribute to the multi-line input. That's why we need it. You need to make sure it checks as yes, and then you will actually see in every element, but right now we actually care about the multi-line input, you will see this ID attribute field. Now I will just paste this rich text editor selector ID, and now the JavaScript knows where to actually append this text that we're dropping on. So let's test this functionality. Now when I take first name, I should drop it on this body because we have the drop area here, and the JavaScript that is triggered should just append it right there. So we can write, hey, first name, your order for product name, cheers. Okay, so we can just create our email dynamically. So now we can save the template. Not actually, the functionality is not done, but we can see that the actual functionality here is done. We can edit our email template however we like it. Pretty awesome feature to have the knowledge how to build. It can be very useful in your Bubble journey. In order to complete this feature and see how we actually send emails, we need to build another UI component, something not big. This is the most complex stuff that you will do today. So let's finish this build by creating another group that will showcase the saved templates, to text for navigation purposes, and the actual send emails action using backend workflows. So let's go back to the editor. Let's take this group and just hide it. I'll also, in the layout, make this element not visible on page load. Okay, in the condition, I will make it visible on only when. Okay, so the email template creator, our page custom state, I will create a new custom state, show creator is a yes or no field, and when this show creator is yes, I should be able to see this group, but when it's no, I shouldn't be able to see this group. Let's just add a final functionality to this group before we actually ditch it. So let's add a workflow to the save template button. What we should do there is actually create the email template with the body and the subject. So body we will take from the multi-line input value, and the subject will be from input subject value. Now that we've created the email template, I also want to do a front-end action that will navigate us to the new group that we're gonna create. So as you remember, we've just created a state. This state basically manages what we're gonna see. Okay, so if this show creator is yes, we're gonna see the template creator. If it's no, we're gonna see the other group that showcases the saved templates. That's what I want to do. That's the whole purpose of this state, just to manage what we are, the users, seeing. Okay, so now that we finished with that group, let me add another group. This group layout should be a 800 max width, okay, and we'll horizontally align it to the center, so it's the same as the last group. We'll call this group email templates display. We'll make it not visible on page load, and we'll define a condition to make it visible only when the email template creator, basically the opposite of the email template creator group that we have that will take this same custom state, show creator, and if you remember, we set the condition there, if it's yes, then show it. Now, if we say it's no, then show this group. Now it will work. Every time we will see one group and the other. Great. So in this group, I'll just want to put another repeating group. This repeating group, as you know, I always like to untick this. The 56 is okay now, none here. The layout should be fit with the content, untick that. Okay, so it's stretching and not fit with the content. Sorry about that. Minimum height should be 0. And we just need to set the data because currently we have some configuration that's for the design. Now we need to also set which data it should display. So it should display our email templates that we save. We can find them by doing a search for in the database of the email templates. No need for any constraints. We're gonna pull all of them from the database. And now let's put a group inside that we actually see those email templates. I will change this group roundness to be 10, the all borders style solid, gray 30, as usual, background style will be white. And now the padding, also important, let's put 16 on all sides, and some gap between the rows and between the elements of 16. Hope it wasn't too fast. We also need to make this data source of this group the current sales email template and change the type of content to the email template. Now this group is basically simple. We did already all of it, so I kind of speed run it. And now we'll drop a text, make it bold, we'll call it email template, and we'll add the current cell index. Why I do this? Because I want it when we have multiple emails. We won't have today, but basically that's a good way to showcase email template 1, email template 2, email template 3. So this is like our little header inside this repeating group cell. I will copy and paste this text. I will delete this and I will write here subject. So we have the subject, and below that I will again copy and paste the text. No need to just drag another one, make it more efficient with your time. Now the parent group's email template subject. This is what I want to display below the subject. I want it to be bold. Let's make it 500. Now that I have the subject, I can click on the first text, press on the shift key, and click on the second text in order to copy paste them. Now this one should be the body, right? And this should take the email's template body and not subject. I think that's it. We just need to add here a button that will say send emails, and let's make it go to the right. So, sorry, horizontally align it to the right. And last thing that we need to do with the UI, I hope you're following me. We only created this simple repeating group with the email templates display, and we set the state to show it or not show it based on if we show the template creator or not, okay, because it's the opposite. Last group that we're gonna add above both of them, it's the header group. I will make it horizontally aligned to the center and fit the width to content, okay, because when I horizontally align it to the center, you didn't see what it happens, but basically it puts it in the middle. I will make it a row and the space between the elements of 20 pixels. Now I will put here a text, bold it, and call it email template display. Copy paste, and the other one should be email or just template creator. Oops. Template creator. Now what I want to do with those texts is just to add a workflow. So when we press on email templates display text, we should set the state of our page to be show creator no, right? Because when we want to display the emails, the show creator state that manages if we show the template creator is no, should be no. Now the other text should be yes. right? So basically the same template creator. We set the state of the page to be show creator equals yes. And then we, because of the conditional we have on the page, will show the template creator feature group. Now that we have all of this done, it's basically ready, all of our functionality. Now we don't see anything because we didn't save any template yet. So let's go to the template creator, but as you can see, the navigation works. So now we have our template ready. As you know, you can always add more things if you want, customize the templates. That's the feature we're building. I know that we didn't do it for the subject. We can also add the drop area there and do the same thing. But in the emails themselves, I will replace this dynamic value, so it's okay to actually manually do it right now. But know that you can do that for the subject as well. Now let's save this template. We should see the navigation. So we also saved the template and we also navigated to the emails template display page group. Great, so we see that it actually saved it to the database. Now the last thing that we need to complete is to actually send the emails to all the orders. Now let's go back to the editor. In the editor, we need to use and create a backend workflow. Okay, so backend workflows is a somewhat paid feature that Bubble doesn't allow a free app to use it. You need either to upgrade to the starter pack or, like me, have an agency account that can use that for free. Now you can just create a new app like we did here. You probably created a new app. You have a 14-day trial that Bubble gives you on every created app, so you can just do it again and again. But don't be lazy, do the 14-day trial, finish with the backend workflows, see that it all works, and then only cancel the trial. But you can use these backend workflows with the free trial. So this is also the best way to actually do it and send multiple emails in the feature that we are building. So here in the backend workflows, we have two options. So create a custom event, just like in the front-end workflows. In general, we have the API workflow, the most useful by far. And recurring event, and I think it's modified, is less useful. I feel like it has, in my opinion, a little bit less control on the workflows that you can actually manage. There are use cases that I would use those, but for now, I just a big advocate of the API workflow and using mostly that. Let's call this backend workflow send in order email. Okay, so in order to send an order email, let's think what parameters do we need in order for the email to be complete. So we need two parameters. The first parameter is the email template, right? Because we click on send emails here and it's related to this template. So we need to pass the template in order to know what the subject and the body contains for the email. So the first one is email template. Now for the second parameter, we need thing to actually replace this first name, this company name, this product name, everything inside the email template. So we can send the email template, but we need something to personalize it. So we're gonna personalize it by sending the order details parameter, right? And we got it from the order, dummy order, this one, option set. Great, so now that we have those two parameters, we can actually make the only action that we need in this workflow, and it's to send an email. Which email we're gonna send? We're gonna send an email to the order details user email. Okay, so in our example, we have 4 orders and all of them will come to my email, so we actually can check the feature works. But for here, it can be 1,000 different orders with different emails and it will still work because it's dynamic. And the sender name should be order details, company name, so Nike, Apple. The subject should be the email templates subject. And now it's a text, right? We pass here a value that it's a text, the email template subject, and what we can do it with the text in order to actually personalize the dynamic values, we have an operator that is called find and replace. So this find and replace operator can find any text and replace it. So let's take this first name text from our template and tell the operator to find this first name text and replace it with the order details first name. So now each time this functionality, this workflow, this subject particularly will see first name with curly brackets, double curly brackets, opening and closing, it will change it and replace it by using the order details first name. So if the order's name is for Dan, it will replace Dan. If it's Jeff, it will replace it by Jeff. So that's for the first name. Now we just need to make another find and replace for the company name, order details, and we replace it with using the parameter order details and its company name. The same will be done for the product name, and we need to replace it by order details product name. And the last find and replace should be a order number. So it's order number, and we replace it by using order details order number. And now, because it's a text, we can just copy the whole expression, paste it here in the body, and just replace this subject text into the body text. And all the operators will be exactly the same. And now we just replace the subject with the body, and all the operators are saved the same, and it will change the same dynamic values with the same values from the order details. Now that we have this backend workflow configured and ready to use, we just need to trigger it. Now, backend workflows aren't triggering as usual when using event and trigger like we use in front-end workflows. If backend workflows, you need to schedule them. So let's see how you can schedule them. So let's add a workflow to the send emails, the last thing that we need to do. So when we press the send emails button, we should schedule an API workflow, okay? In this case, it will schedule only one workflow, but I want to show you how it looks like. So we can pick the API workflow send order email, then we can pass it the parent group's email template, right? Because this send emails button inside a email template. So we can use the parent group's email template. This is our subject and the body that we pass into the send email functionality. Now the order details, we need to choose only one, Nike 1, Nike 2, Apple 1, Apple 2, okay? So that won't work for us, and because we want to send multiple emails and not just one. But if we wanted to send one, we could have sent it in the same second by scheduling it to the current day time. You can also schedule it for like tomorrow, okay? And then you have a sequence of emails and stuff like that. That's the power of backend workflows. Scheduling and the really high processing power compared to and security. But that's all things that we're gonna talk more probably in a backend workflow video. So this is how you send a single email. Now I'll delete this action because we actually want to send multiple emails at the same time, potentially thousands. So let's schedule API workflow on a list. Okay, so when I schedule an API workflow on a list, the type of things should be dummy order. Okay, so we want to schedule on a list of orders. Okay, we used only one template, but we have a lot of different orders that we want to send the emails with to. So the list to run on is the all dummy orders that we want. If it's a data type inside the database, you can maybe search for all the orders that are responsible by the vendor. Like this is all the orders that I need to send my customers. Like in eBay, you won't send orders to everything. And just showing you another example of how we actually take the data and put it here, because we want gonna use option sets for this. This is just a dummy order. But when we want to actually do it with real orders, we'll probably make some constraints, all the orders from the last day, some date constraints, maybe some owner of the order, and stuff like that we're actually gonna use data. Now for the API workflow, we're gonna choose the send order email, and we're gonna pass it the same parent group email template. So we have the subject and the body that we want. Now we need to customize every subject and body with some order details, and we can use this dummy order detail because we gave it a list, and it allows us to use one of the list. It will just iterate upon all of them. So this dummy order can be Nike 1, Nike 2, Apple 1, Apple 2. It will just create 4 in this example. Because we have 4 orders, it will create and trigger 4 and schedule 4 backend workflows at the same time for each order with the same email template. Now we want to schedule it to the current date time, so it immediately triggers. And that's it. We're finished. We can just refresh the page. We've created the template using the template creator. And now when we have the template, we have some dynamic values that we need to be personalized with each send. And now we've created the backend workflow to actually personalize it and send all the emails. So now when I click send emails, we can go to my email inbox and make sure it all arrives good. Yes, so your order is ready, Jeff, Jenny, Dan, John, everyone's here, got their order from Nike, from Apple with the exact order ID and the product, name, the company name, everything is changed exactly like we want to. So that's how you actually make personalized emails, send them, make this feature of the template creator. Very cool feature in my opinion. You can just drop dynamic values like that inside an input. I hope everything was clear. I hope that you really educated yourself. If you have any feedback, I would love to hear it in the comments down below. Or you can also go to my free school community when I am active there and helping people and making more content like that. And give me your feedback there. There are probably going to be a lot of more courses that I will make there. So I encourage you to join. It's free. And that's it. So if you like this video, you're probably gonna like other courses that I have here probably. And yeah, that's the future. Bye.